What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys. And today is going to be a start of a new series I'm going to be doing called Movies I Love. So pretty much what this is going to be about, it's going to be talking about movies I grew up with, movies I just love altogether, cult classic films, underrated films, maybe movies that don't get a lot of love that I personally love a lot. You might not love them, but I love them and I want to talk about them. And if you've never seen them, definitely go and check them out. I recommend all of them. Now, before I get started on that, I do want to give a shout out to a YouTuber here on YouTube. He does movie reviews, Blu-ray updates. He recently gave me a shout out, so Nathan Jones, if you're watching this, here's a shout out to you, buddy. I love your channel. I've been following it since you've pretty much started, and you have some great content on there. So if you guys haven't checked out his channel and his videos, I'm going to leave a link down in the description. Please go follow him. He is a great guy. I highly recommend checking out his videos. Now, before I get started with my first movie I'm going to talk about, which you know what it is from above, I want to just talk about, what kind of cult classic movies and underrated movies I'm going to be talking about. Mostly going to be dealing with horror movies, being that is my favorite genre. However, from time to time, I will go into what I consider to be either underrated comedies or cult classics, maybe some action movies. And pretty much, I'm going to be rewatching these films to kind of go into a fresh eye. That way I could talk about them and do a detailed video for you. I'll try not to make the videos too long. I don't want to make them, hopefully not 20 minutes. But I do have notes and I want to talk about reasons why I love these movies. And again, these movies might not be ones you love, but I certainly love them. But if you haven't seen them, or if it's been a while since you've checked them out, I definitely recommend, like always, going and watching the films. So the first movie I'm going to talk about is actually celebrating its 32nd anniversary, and it came out in 1988. It is what I consider to be the year of the sequels. That is Poltergeist III, and as you see, I have the Blu-ray right there. So Poltergeist III, like I said, the year of the sequels. You had Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Friday the 13th Part 7, I think the other one, what was the other one that came out? Oh, Halloween 4. There we go. I got my notes right here, guys. Halloween 4, which is one of my favorite sequels. I love it. But yeah, 1988 was definitely a year of horror movie sequels and just sequels altogether. I think the only one that came out that I could think of on the top of my head was Child's Play, which was the first of many films to come in that franchise. But Poltergeist 3 came out, and I feel like it is definitely a very underrated movie. You might not love the movie, but I absolutely love this film. I know it's a film that had a lot of problems, and unfortunately, a death on the film. Heather O'Rourke, who played Carol Ann in all three of the original films, passed away before this movie came out. So that is really tough on a lot of people. It's tough on me watching the movie just because I love her, and I love the character, and I love the films. So it's very, very tough, but I'm a big fan of Poltergeist 3. I've always been a big fan. So I want to go into, why I love the movie. I think most of it has to be with memories. That's a big thing for me, is I have quite a bit of memories with this movie growing up. This movie really freaked me out as a kid. Especially on TV. I think that's where I first saw the movie, was on TV. It was a very, from time to time, a movie that would come on TV, and I would watch it even though I would be freaked out by it. And I would not watch the whole entire movie. I would just watch memories of it. So from I would say probably almost 7 years old up until my early teens, I remember from time to time turning on the channels, going through them, and seeing Poltergeist 3 on there. So those are memories I have with it. It definitely had an effect on me because, again, I was creeped out quite a bit with this movie. Gave me chills. I think Reverend Kane in the movie creeped me out. Obviously, Julian Beck, had passed away before the third movie came out. He played Reverend Kane in the second movie, and obviously he was definitely scarier and still is scarier. But Poltergeist 3 was actually the first of the Poltergeist films I saw. So, as a kid seeing clips of it, that's the first memory I have of a Poltergeist movie. So, other reasons why I love it, again, I have my notes here, so I gotta look at them. I love the practical effects in the movie. Pretty much, yeah, all of it was like 100% practical effects. I was actually listening to the commentary before this video, rewatched the movie with the commentary, and I loved that Gary Shermer came back. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm probably saying it wrong. I apologize. The director, Gary, came back, talked about the movie. Even though he does not consider this, one of his best movies, and it is a hard movie for him to watch due to Heather O'Rourke's death, he does talk about the practical effects and how they were all 100%. I think that is a big standout with this movie, is the effects. I think they're so good. Very creepy at times, the way they did them. But they really just have a big effect on me and a huge memory. The one thing I always remember with the movie is the use of mirrors. The movie definitely uses a lot of mirrors and a lot of reflections. And if you have this Blu-ray, what I love about it, especially listening to the commentary and watching some of the interviews from people who were behind the scenes with this movie, is the, reflections and the mirrors, the reflections pretty much, how you had the reflection of somebody was all practical. So you had a lot of stunt doubles doing a lot of that work. And I love that. And they go into detail about how they did certain things with, the reflections, the stunt doubles, the mirrors, and it was all practical. And it's amazing. So, like, if you have this Blu-ray and if you haven't watched the interviews or if you haven't listened to the commentary with the director, that's a very interesting thing to listen to and watch. Another there's certain moments in the movie that I love as far as, where practical effects were really used. The first one was definitely Tangina's death. If you've seen the movie, spoiler alert, Tangina does die in the movie, which I think a lot of people have probably have seen this. But Tangina does die in the movie, and all I remember when I was a kid was seeing Laura Flynn Boyle's character kind of pretty much breaking out of Tangina's dead body and coming out of it screaming, and I always thought that was creepy, and it still is very eerie when you watch it today. I actually find probably that scene to be the most eeriest scene to watch. It's so creepy, and it has a great way of using practical effects, so that's awesome. A couple other practical scenes that I love, you have the pool scene in the movie, which is, somewhat in the middle of the movie. Like the second act of the film is when Scott, the character of Scott, Laura Flynn Boyle's boyfriend in the movie, Scott, reappears after disappearing, and he comes back and, he's all covered in ice and everything. But that whole scene is awesome just because I love the fact that they were able to take whole entire pool and pretty much turn it into ice. And obviously it wasn't real ice, but I loved it. Again, those are some really good practical effects. And memories I have when I first saw this movie, the scenes that I did see, the pool scene was one of them. And I have memories with that, and it always stuck with me, especially years down when I did not watch this movie for a while. I always remember the pool scene. That was always a big one for me. And then the movie has a lot of great parking garage scenes. The one being, the puddle with Carol Ann and Donna and Scott when they're being dragged down in this puddle of water and these hands are coming out. That was always really cool. And to hear the director talk about it in the commentary when I was watching the scene and how they did it was awesome. So, practical effects are really neat, and I love that about it. And this movie had a lot of great practical effects, and I think that is the strongest point of the film when you watch it. Even if you don't like the movie, is you can appreciate the practical effects. Because even though I love part 2, that one's grown on me quite a bit. I didn't love it at first. Scared me. That's why I didn't really watch it too much. But, even though I love part 2 and somewhat of even the first movie, they do have great practical effects in those films, but I think the best practical effects definitely come from Poltergeist 3 because the director really wanted to use a lot of great practical effects. And this is a time when you were slowly getting into CGI. So even films in the 80s, I can probably even think of some in the late 70s where, they were kind of tampering with some CGI. It wasn't perfect, but, there was a little bit there. But I think Poltergeist 3, and I think they mentioned it in the commentary, was Poltergeist 3 was the last film to 100% use practical effects. Now, films, of course, after this movie went on to use a lot of practical effects, but Poltergeist 3, what really makes this movie stand out is the use of practical effects. So I love that. Going on, my second favorite thing about this is the cast. I think the cast overall is really good. The first one, of course, being Heather O'Rourke. Again, I loved her as an actress. Loved as a child actress. Obviously, she passed away, but I think, if she were still here today, I think she would have done so many other great movies. And from what I've heard from the director with the commentary, she really wanted to go into directing. So I think we would have gotten a lot more from Heather, but, she really is the staple in the Poltergeist trilogy, and it's just so sad that we lost her, at a early age. Very, very sad. But obviously she is the strong point in the movie. She's a strong point in all the films. But, with Poltergeist 3, she really does make it her own film, where in 1 and 2, yes, she was the main character, but you had some other talented actors in that movie. So I really think Poltergeist 3 was that first time where it was really her own movie. Because you had Craig T. Nelson, and you had Jo Beth Williams and Zelda Rubinstein, who was also in this movie, but they were in those other films. And even Julian Beck in the second movie, they really stole the show. That was pretty much like a huge ensemble cast, where in Poltergeist 3, definitely the big lead in the movie was Heather O'Rourke, and she did such an amazing job, as always. I love the character of Carol Ann, and I love the Poltergeist trilogy, so she's definitely the best thing about this movie, the best actress in the film. My second favorite being Zelda Rubinstein. I always love Zelda Rubinstein. Teen Witch, 16 Candles, a lot of stuff she's been involved with outside of the Poltergeist trilogy. But of course, she, like Heather O'Rourke, is a staple in the Poltergeist trilogy. She's been in all 3 of them. And rest in peace to her, too. That's somebody I would love to have met at a convention. Would have been Zelda Rubinstein. But I loved her as Tangina. Great job, She doesn't have too much screen time in Poltergeist 3, but the stuff that she is involved with, like with her death, they really stand out. And I love the refrigerator or freezer scene when she comes out of the water. That's another great use of practical effects and practical settings, was that scene there. So my third favorite character is Nancy Allen. Nancy Allen's character Trish in the film, she's liked, but then there's moments you don't particularly care for her in the movie. I think she kind of has some, not anything fully against Carol Ann, but I think, they definitely don't have the strongest relationship overall in the movie. But Nancy Allen just is my favorite actress, one of my favorite actresses, and she's been in a lot of cult favorite films: Poltergeist III, RoboCop, Blowout, Dress to Kill. My personal favorite being Carrie. So I'm a big Nancy Allen fan. So it's great to see her in this movie, and she does a really good job in the film, despite, like I said, some of her character flaws that she has. I think I love her in the film. Tom Skirt, another great actor in the movie. He plays Bruce. He plays Carol Ann's uncle-in-law. And I think he was great in the film. He was a great addition. He's, again, one of those, cult actors you kind of see in 80s, 90s, and 70s movies. And it's so funny. I would see Alien later on in my early 20s. So I had seen, Tom Skirt in other films before Alien. So it was really cool to finally see Alien and see him in that movie. So, very cool. Let me get a drink of water real quick. Laura Flynn Boyle, last person on this. I think the five main actors, Laura Flynn Boyle plays Donna, and Donna is Carol Ann's cousin, and she is the daughter of Bruce and stepdaughter of Trish. She did a great job in the movie. Her first big role, and she would go on to do so many things, but I think her big thing for me was Twin Peaks. And again, she had really cool scenes in the movie. Again, she pops out of Tangina's dead body, and that was a very creepy and effective scene. But if it wasn't for her acting in that, her screaming pretty much, I don't think the scene would have been as eerie as it was and still is today. The third thing I love about the movie is the setting. I love the fact that this movie takes place in Chicago. I think what makes the movie eerie and effective is, besides the practical effects, is the setting. I mean, you have it in Chicago. It took it out of the, home suburbia setting where the first two movies were at, and they brought it into Chicago, and I think that was a really great choice. And I even love in the trailer when you just see all of Chicago, and you see how the camera's zooming into the main setting of the film, the main building. So I love the Chicago setting. They filmed in Chicago, so I think that's cool. Speaking of the building, the Hancock building, I believe still around today. I would actually love to visit that building at some point. But I love the fact that this movie takes place in this big building, again with all these uses of mirrors and reflections, and I think that's one of the big reasons why I love the film, but also why I think it's so eerie today, is that it takes place in a huge building where, yes, you can run and hide, but these spirits and Reverend Kane are always going to track down Carol Ann. Very, very unique and interesting place to take place in this movie is the building. And like I said, it creates a eerie atmosphere. I think I still watch it today, and I think it's very eerie atmosphere. Watched it back then, I thought it was creepy, and I still think it is creepy today. And then, the other reason I love the movie is nostalgia. I talked about it quite a bit in this video, is the nostalgia of the movie, and that's the reason why I really love it, is the memories I have with it. Even though I was quite scared of the movie as a kid, there was a lot of memories there, and I think that's what made me come to love the movie. Having seen it on TV so many times and seeing those bits and pieces of scenes in the film, and those memories really sticking out to me. And then, buying it on DVD, and then eventually buying different copies on Blu-ray, which you have that one there, and I honestly think this is the best way to go. I know it's out of print, but I think this is a great Blu-ray to have. So if you can get your hands on it, this is the way to go. But if you can't get this Blu-ray, there's another Blu-ray out there. I love this Blu-ray just because it does have a lot of bonus features on it. Again, I listened to the commentary for the first time. I've had this for, I think, 4 years. I think it came out in 2016. And the commentary was really good with the director. And Gary doesn't like talking about this movie, of course, with the memories that he has of Heather O'Rourke. And I think just the difficulty of shooting the movie, too. Reshooting the ending and everything. And it being not one of his favorite films. I don't think he likes talking about it. So it was cool that they got him to do a commentary. But also you have a lot of great bonus features on it. And Nancy Allen comes back talking about the movie. They talk about the practical effects. You get some of the practical special effects guys coming in and talking about all the favorite scenes for them and all the unique or most memorable practical shots in the film, practical scenes. So I love that. And it's a film that's not perfect. Wrapping it up, I know it's not a perfect film at all. Again, not a lot of people love this. I love the movie, and I really, that's the reason why I wanted to make the video, is just to kind of talk about my love for the film. It's a flawed movie. It does have flaws. I think you could definitely see some of the continuity issues, especially with the ending of the film. Watching it now, I could see it. Reshooting the ending of the movie, which Gary did not. From things I've read in the past, Gary Schumer, the director, did not want to even finish the movie, especially with Heather's death. So the ending, it's a reshoot ending, and you can see some of the continuity issues. But overall, I love it. There's something about Poltergeist 3 I love. This is definitely one, let me put it back there, that I have a lot of memories with. Like I said, a lot of nostalgia for me growing up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I rambled. Oh, I'm such a rambler, but I hope you guys enjoyed my rambling. And I'm going to get better with these, so let me know what you guys think of this video, this series. Again, I'll get better with it as I go along, and there's going to be a lot of variety of movies I'm going to talk about. Now, I don't know how many of these I'm going to do a month, but I think I want to do at least 1 or 2 a month. 1 or 2 reviews a month, and talking about films that I love. And again, they're going to focus on, cult classic films, underrated movies, Poltergeist 3 being a cult classic to some now, and an underrated movie. But also, dive into horror movies, a lot of, ones that I grew up with or underrated ones. And also some, comedies and action movies from time to time. My favorite genre is horror movies. That's where my channel is mostly based on. But I love all different films. So you'll see some other genres spread out through this review series. And I'll try not to make the videos too long. I know this one's going on 25 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up. But I hope you enjoyed my appreciation. I hope you enjoyed hearing my appreciation for Poltergeist 3, because I do love the movie, despite, it's a film that has a lot of sadness behind the scenes of it, and the fact that it's not perfect, but I do love it. I love the movie. Still love it, always will love it. Great, well, scary memories with it, but also kind of great memories too, just because, as a kid, I would watch horror movies on TV, rent them at the video stores. Poltergeist 3 is part of those memories, so anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And like I said, go check out Nathan Jones. Awesome guy. I will leave his link down below. And if you're watching this, Nathan, thank you, buddy, for the shout out. I really appreciate it. Put a smile on my face. I've been doing this for 12 years now, almost 12 years, and it's awesome to kind of, run into other YouTubers' channels, watch their videos, check out their content, and, eventually become friends with a lot of people. So congrats on all your hard work, Nathan. You do a great job. But I hope you're all having a great weekend. Happy Saturday to you. I'm going to let you guys go. Let me know what you guys think of Poltergeist 3. You might not love it. You might dislike it, but I do love it. And let me know what you guys think of this series. Again, I will get better at it as we go along. A lot of rambling in this video, so... but you guys have a happy Saturday and have a great weekend. So, as always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. In with the positive, out with the negative, and go eat some Skittles. Alright, guys. Bye.